Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Centenary Stays Connected virtual series. My name is Yolanda Sheffield Williams. I am the second vice president of the AAEB. I am the class of 2006, and tonight we have the pleasure of our speaker, Christopher J. Demarest, class of '02, his topic will be work, money, and life, creating a living financial plan. I'd like for any of our other members of the AAB to introduce yourselves and what class you're a graduate of.
Hello, I'm Caitlin Parento. I'm the first VP of the board, the alumni board, and I'm a class of 2009.
I'm Nancy Johns Pappendorf, classes of 79, 81, and 06. I'm secretary of the Alumni Association Executive Board and the alumni trustee.
Hi, I'm Angela Rodriguez Moore, class of 90, AAB fundraising chair and president advisory council member.
Hi, I'm Devin Pappendorf. I'm a new member of the alumni board, and I graduated in 2010 and 2011.
Is there anyone else from the Alumni Association on the call tonight?
No, Yolanda, you could go ahead.
Yeah, I think.
No? Okay, all right, thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce our president, Dr. Bruce Murphy, and his wife, Colonel Jean Murphy.
Hi, everybody. Just welcome everybody. And Chris, really appreciate you doing this. I don't know, I don't want to steal any of your thunder, but we have recently started a certified financial planner program here at Centenary. We do it with a consortium that we're in. And just so that you know, that the certified financial planner is like the gold standard for wealth management advisors and so forth. It's a national recognition. There's a national board that's involved. And part of that being certified is to complete a certain amount of education. And that's where Centenary comes in. We provide those courses that all certified financial planners must have before they can sit for their qualifying exam and actually achieve that certification. So, Chris is a certified financial planner, and we are delighted that he's here tonight. And just as you spread the word, everybody, that Centenary does now provide a pathway to be a certified financial planner. So
yeah, I just paid my 15th renewal. So yeah, it's
very good.
It is an absolute. It's a bear. It's a lot of work, but it is absolutely. I always tell people it's kind of like working on a small master's degree, and it takes about a year and a half worth of study, depending on how long you do it. And some people cram it into 6 months, and some, But I'll tell you, I took an on the ground class, and our pass rate was double that of the less than half of the people who take the test pass, and our with the live class and live review was up over 80. So it makes a world of difference.
Very good.
So.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Murphy. Next, we will have Karen DeMaria, who is the Vice President of the University of Advancement, to share some announcements. Karen, you can go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Karen DeMaria, Vice President of University Advancement. I'm glad to be here tonight. We have some great things coming up. Check your emails. We have a save the date for our Giving Day on November 30th. We're going to do 24 hours of giving directly to scholarships for students. And then we're having our thank-a-thon the week before Thanksgiving. So if you're interested in making some phone calls as a volunteer to say thank you to others, please reach out to me. And I look forward to hearing Chris's program. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Karen, for that announcement. I'd like to share some information, bio about Chris. With over 20 years in the financial service industry, Chris will discuss ways that can help you define your financial goals and investment strategies. While pursuing his graduate degree, his in finance and investment started during a college internship. After graduate school and earning his financial planner designation in 2007, Chris is now a private wealth advisor at Blackbridge Financial, located in Raleigh, North Carolina. So now I hope to have Chris share and give us all advice of, how we can do better with financial planning.
Sorry.
Thank you once again, Chris.
Thank you. All right, Karen, are you going to drive with the slides? All right. So I would have first big disclosure here. Everything tonight is not financial advice. What we are going to walk through, just because there's so much, that's our legal mumbo jumbo. You can skip that one. What we do when we do seminars like this is a lot of education. And one of the things I want to throw out here, there's a lot of 80% rules, and it's the right thing for 80%. Everything has to do with what's right for you. One of the first things that I talk about with people, especially, is their relationship with money. That's super different. That is, everybody grew up with money, without money, parents who spent, parents who saved, things like that. And we find, actually, I always joke around, the CFP should have one more module of some kind of counseling or psychology, just because that working with that relationship with money and actually working into a better place with it, or out of a bad place. Sometimes it's not even just getting to neutral, is an important thing. So as we go through this, there's going to be things that light bulbs go off. Oh yeah, I did that at one time in my life. And we're going to just kind of roll through. I've also put in the chat, there's a link. If you want to take this one step farther with yourself, we've put up a whole bunch of different worksheets and things for you to take inventory of your own financials, so that you can take that one extra step. I would say most of the financial planning process is 90% of it you can do yourself. Some people like to cut their own lawns. Some people pay somebody to do it. Some people, I don't know, but a ton of people do like their own brain surgery and taxes the same way, but that's kind of what we take it. If you're ready to go out of you're done with the basics, we're there to kind of help you along the way. And some people are just too darn busy. I'll be honest with you, that's the biggest thing, because what happens is keeping up with everything else. You've got children, work, school, all this other kind of stuff going on. And really you want somebody taking a second look. So if we can just jump next slide. One of the things that we talk about a ton with our clients is really about, like I said, your relationship with money, and how is your, you hear the phrase work-life balance all the time. We add one more in there, it's work-life money. Some people, again, talking about the relationships with money and how they, is work a means to an end, or is, are you working because you're passionate about your work? Or is it mainly just a place to get money? And one of the things that when we realize that people are really successful are the people who are actually at work, not just to get a paycheck. What does happen though, a lot of financial, and the reason we do so much of this for alumni groups and workplaces and things, that is they found that 67% of employees deal with financial situations at work. Okay. And it's not necessarily, some people pay their bills online at work. Some people handle that phone call, they get that call from the debt collector, or their kid needs money, or whatever that is. And then really about 35% of out of that same study says it's actually become a distraction while they're at work. So one of the things we want to, when we work with, say, either an employer or an alumni group or anything like that, is how can we help you guys take some of this off your plate, so work is a little bit more productive, a little bit less, if there's more education at work, if we tell everybody how to use the fire exit, nobody wonders what to do in a fire, so it's a little bit less stressful at work. It's the same thing with money. How does my 403b work? How does my 401k work? I have some benefits through work that I didn't even know about, and your company's dumping money into these things, and if nobody knows how to use them, then, but if they, you feel sometimes, hey, my company doesn't pay enough for my health insurance, or it pays, this and that. So we just kind of a little bit of education and working on that type of balance. Go to the next one. We talk about routine, is a real big one for me. And when we look at routine, a lot of people want to hurry up and just, start diving into their savings and their, big chunks and big, what happens, what actually is a better relationship with most of this stuff is, how do I How do I come in and do it on a regular basis? That's why your 401ks and all your other savings come out weekly and bi-weekly and monthly out of your paychecks. It's fine to just chip away at stuff over a long enough period of time, and you'll get somewhere. Everybody who, I'm a little too short for my weight. So as many of you may have, I've done the crash dieting and things like that. If you all of a sudden starve yourself and cramp, I'm going to eat 4 calories today and I'm going to work out 6 times. After about 6 days, it's a mess. Okay. Same thing with your finances. I'm going to take 80% of my paycheck and I'm going to save it. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to have any fun. Well, once you kind of do that for a little bit, you say, forget it, blow it off, and then actually sometimes end up in a worse situation. Let's go to the next one. So one of the things that we really tackle or try to tackle with clients, and with just have everybody kind of take stock of, is what comes first, the success or the happiness. I will tell you, I've read a couple books by Warren by Warren Buffett. One of the things that he actually never started getting happy until he started giving away his money, because he made all this money and he had nothing. And what am I doing with it? He's like, just, dragons are the only people who sleep on a pile of gold kind of thing. So like, what am I doing here? How am I affecting the change in my life and in the people I want to, how do I want to help? Some people, like he says, donating to the place where they went to college. Some people, it's, giving back to food banks in their community, whatever it is. But one of the things, once you go back in digging into some of the research that Fortune has done, Fortune 500 companies, about 275,000 people who work for Fortune 500 companies. One of the biggest values that they have is that their work matches their charitable donations. And that was like a huge aha, because they said, why? We're going to use this as a retention tool, but they value that working at IBM or Motorola or wherever it is matches those financial. So actually, when I go to work every single day, I'm helping people and really finding out that financial security, and it may be just what you're passionate about. Like, again, some people go to work not just to make that paycheck, but if you're going to work at a place that maybe you can make not as much money as if you went somewhere else, but you believe in the mission, you believe in it, that's way more of a paycheck or a personal experience than what we're finding in most other places. They have higher retention rates, they have higher job satisfaction. And again, it's, for example, a lot of people deliver packages because it pays a little bit more. No, not as many people love that job, but people who working in social work, people who don't make the same dollars, but they will put in 60, 80, 90 hours a week. It's because they believe in the mission. They believe what they're doing. Let's go one more. Okay. So we talked about work-life money balance. What does that mean? And these are some of the things that if you go to that link, check out some of these things. There's some workbook exercises you can go into this. I won't take a ton of time in this, but building downtime into your schedule. I think for every week of work, you're supposed to work out 100, every 40 hours, supposed to work out 150 minutes in the week. Okay. I don't get there either, but getting up, running around with the kids, doing something else in the middle of the day, if you have the ability and flexibility to do it, changes your demeanor at work, changes your satisfaction, everything there. Drop the activities that drain you. And if I was going to take, there's all kinds of stuff we have to do. Okay. I don't love doing the dishes, but I do them. I think my wife's on, so I'm gonna plug that one. But when the activities that absolutely, I hate doing blank, that's our deal. If you hate doing that and I don't mind it, that's my job. And then vice versa. Okay. Same thing with your finances. Somebody, if you're in a relationship and there's 2 people there, somebody's gonna not hate it. Okay. Nobody's gonna maybe love it. Somebody's not gonna not hate it. Let somebody help out there. Let that person, they have a better relationship with money, or they don't hate the fact that when they have to, the bills aren't monotonous. And of course it's my wheelhouse. So that's what I do it at home. Rethink your errands. Couple of these things are, when you think about the things that you do on a day-to-day basis, you find like when you're running out and doing all kinds of, your little to-dos and your little extras that you're trying to think, like, why are you doing this? Drop some of these little things off your plate. If you're taking an hour out of your day and it really doesn't do much for you. One of the things we find is that people are actually pretty satisfied when you're able to sit down and work with no distractions and really focus and dial in on the main thing that they're doing at work. The last couple of these all kind of get together. Get moving, little relaxation, reduce stress. I'm a scheduler. I keep everything dialed in. For finances, if you're looking at it in a bigger picture, there's a couple different things. I'm sure some of you have heard of David Ramsey. They talk about the envelope theory, where you put a piece of your money in for this, piece of your money in for that, and you save into envelopes, all cash, all kind of. It doesn't work so good in 2021 because nobody has cash anymore. But one of the things that we do is schedule your bills, write them all down. When's everything due? Okay, I need to do this by this, this by this. And if you can look ahead 30 days, instead of rolling the dice when stuff comes in the mailbox, if stuff comes in the mailbox anymore, or the email says you have a statement due or anything like that, write it all down, get ahead of it, start looking at it and say, hey, I want to tackle this this month, or this is the bill that I'm going to knock out and be done with. Okay, we have a whole, we're supposed to talk about how Katie and Alex have, like, well, let's skip this one. They're a great relationship. They talk about money all the time. Yada, yada. One of the things that I will tell you, the common habits that we're seeing and more today throughout all of our clients is there was an old way to do it, where we just, after we got married, we piled everything into one checking account. And I hope you were as responsible as I was, or vice versa. We're seeing a lot of his, hers, and theirs these days. And a lot of it, there's no magic bullet. And this is one of the things I want to kind of make sure everybody understands, that there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's what works for you, especially with cash management. One of the big things that we find out is one person in the relationship is a spender, or you're both spenders, or you're both saver, whatever your roles are. But sometimes they don't always coexist the best. So one of the things you need to do is plan out for your families, who's the spender, who's the saver. Hey, maybe you can be the spender, but I'm going to give it, there's going to be a budget on this, or there's going to be a piece on that, whatever that is, because we still need to make the bills and the mortgage and the savings for college and all these other things. Everything else that's left over can be the spend there. So when we talk about, there's three, and this is in one of the worksheets on the website, they talk about personal financial habits. Your financial well-being score is really something that, and then there's a whole worksheet on this, but basically bringing that down is, it's how are your ins and outs every month? Do you owe more than you have? Are you living within your means? And that's the first thing, because your day-to-day is the absolute first thing we look at. There's nothing else. If you don't feel safe walking out of your house, you're not going to walk out of your house. That's the day-to-day. How do I make all this stuff work? The habit of looking at your finances, and it seems so second nature to me, because I would look at 175 families worth of finances all the time. But some people just don't do it. And all we're saying is look at it every 3 months, look at it every 2 months, and maybe have a meeting. Even if somebody's running it in your house, having I think my wife is still on here. We have a financial planning meeting. A lot of times it's over a laptop or a dish ice cream. So I'm like, hey, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're saving for this, we're ahead in that, we're behind in this. Keep them in the loop, because surprises. I'm sure there's no surprise that some crazy 87% of people say the number one stressor in their marriage is finances. Okay. And I keep talking about marriage because it's, if you're doing this by yourself, it becomes a lot easier, only because you just have to deal with yourself. Okay. So adding the second person into the mix really clogs up a couple things, but it also really, if you're the person who's the spender, it kind of opens your eyes to way to see how people do it. One of the things that we talk about in the last one here is keep the big goals in sight and on track. A lot of people tell me they're not going to save for retirement in their 20s, and they're going to wait till they're older. And one of the things that we do is the big goals. I'm sure there's a euphemism or a saying that was, the more times you steer a ship, the more likely you're going to be on course. So the more times you look at this and the more times you say, hey, retirement, I have no idea what my retirement looks like. I'm 41 years old. I was born in Michigan. I lived in Boston, New Jersey, all these other, I hope I may be, who knows? But one of the things that I know it's going to cost money, so that's my just saying, hey, I know about what I think I'm going to spend every month. And I can look at that, in 25 years from now, how much is that going to be? I know it needs to be 600,000, 1.2 million, whatever that number is. All right, go to the next one. All right, so let's talk about that well-being score. All right. First and foremost, we always start with your personal finances. Okay, your day-to-day, like we said, operation. I'm sure we've heard cash is king. That's the number one piece here. Satisfaction with your finances. If I'm just making it and just making bills, going back and forth, pretty low satisfaction. Paying bills is not satisfaction. We find people are doing that at pretty much the lowest level of satisfaction scores. People who are saving up for goals, even if it's small little knockdown goals, I'm going to make sure I have at least $500 in my savings account. I'm going to put $10,000 aside in 5 years for this goal. I need a new car. I have some clients who love the idea is I'm going to keep saving that car payment because it's going to be a down payment for my next car. Keep on that kind of structure. Once we get through setting actual goals, is then looking at wellness. What am I doing? What am I doing for my long-term goals? Am I worried about tomorrow only, or am I looking down the road, even 3-5 years? My oldest is about to turn 7. I've been working on his college savings for about like T-minus a year before he was born, just because I actually worked at Centenary teaching. I was in grad school there, and we help people work on finances and how to pay for college and all that kind of. It's a big number. And it's one of those things that if you start early, the compounding effect of everything really does the most damage to anything. That big one on the bottom there, retirement. The numbers out right now say about 68% of people think they're going to work in retirement, at least in some capacity. Okay. For some people, that's a reality. For some people, there's an absolute, I want to work, but only because I want it to be, I want to be a golf ranger. I want to golf every Tuesday for free and do that. I want to be around the golf course like that. That's working, but there's a different type of thing versus I have to work. And one of the biggest things that, I'll tell you, the retirement meeting with the clients when they're ready to walk out the door is nowhere near as satisfying as listen, here's where you are. If at any time Bill at work gives you too much guff or you're tired of taking whatever, you can walk out at any time. That's the best meeting we have with people. That is by far the ability to retire. You don't have to, but there's all of a sudden a big right off. And they say, hey, I'm going to come in and, I'm working here now. I'm working here because I want to work here, not because I have to work here. And that changes a lot of the way that people view work and things like that. Family. Family is one of our big ones. Family is one of the biggest creators of wealth. It's also one of the biggest destructors of wealth. We plan up and down for a generation, and your parents and your children will both cost you money at one point in your life. It may not be as much or not, but one of the things that, planning to insulate yourself and your goals for that and seeing how much you can help children and how much you can help. One of the things we always tell people is they give tons of loans for school. There's not a single place out there that gives a loan for retirement. So looking at that and saying, how can I balance all of these needs? Because it's the great economic problem. I have unlimited wants, but I have absolutely limited resources. I have my paycheck, or I have the money I have in the bank. And the last one, security. This is very personal. A lot of this comes down to what makes you feel good? What makes you feel safe? One of the things I always tell people, we talk about, there's rules of thumb for all kinds of things. 3 months of take home paycheck, 6 months of this. Some people, it has to be a number. It has to be $10,000, $20,000. That's fine. We can't fight that. Whatever makes you feel that you're ready to go. Some people tell me they can't retire unless they have $1 million. I have a lot of clients, $1 million won't even scratch the surface of what they need. And I have some clients, because of pensions and things like that, they don't need anywhere near that. But somebody somewhere that they really trust and respect said $1 million. And $1 million in New Jersey doesn't mean the same thing as Memphis, Tennessee, or Silicon Valley, California, or, you know, Pig's Knuckle, Florida, you know, where it's really cheap and you live by the beach and eat coconuts. It depends on what you want to do. And that's the biggest part of all this, why everything, all this money decisions are so personal. I have been at places, at parties, at different things. People would rather tell you anything else in their world, except maybe their credit score or how much money they have in the bank. It's extremely personal. I also, much to my wife's chagrin, we walk up to parties and people be like, so I have $400,000, blah, 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 and they start talking, and I don't know anything about this person. And it, you know, so everybody has their own relationship with money. And one of the things that you need to, again, define all of this for yourself personally. Okay, so here's our financial being self-assessment. We don't want you to share. I would tell you probably the best thing for you to kind of take a look at this and leave this up for about 30 more seconds. Take a look at this, start tallying up your score. You know, I know my income sources and expenses well. We don't, usually most people don't have a lot of income sources, one or two. If I ran a surplus or a shortfall in my budget, I would know it. Okay, that's a big one, because sometimes money just flies in and out of accounts and we don't really pay attention. I know where my assets are and how well they're doing, how well they're growing. We always joke, there's a nice wall at 3 years. If you need money before 3 years, it shouldn't be in the stock market, because things happen. Last March, everybody was doing great, you know, until they weren't, you know, and assets went down, you know, 30–40%. Well, what if you needed to buy a boat in June, right? That kind of stuff. Big goals. I have a list of all my expenses and what actually is going to bring me joy in life. I like, for example, I get all the notes from Centenary, like, hey, we need, you know, we're doing a scholarship run or so. Yeah, that numbers and stuff, just I deal with them all day. Yeah, I really liked buying the lacrosse team goals. That was really fun for me, because they were using the same ones I did 2001, and they were 19 years old. But I called a couple of my buddies, we got together, we pulled some dollars, and we bought the team brand new goals. That kind of stuff, I'll do that kind of stuff all day long, because that's impactful to me. And you look at this stuff, say, hey, what's impactful to you? So sometimes the general donation stuff are great, but if you were equine, or you were in the teaching school, or whatever thing it was, and that's what you want to go roll in with the donation of that. One of our missions here at Blackbridge has always been, it's food security. Forget numbers, right? Food security is like, you know, I've taken enough Maslow hierarchy. If you can't have food and shelter, it's your number one. So one of the things that we're really passionate about is donating every year to our food banks and making sure they're secure. What makes it good for you? And then the last one is, I'll tell you, this is a big one. If you can answer a 5 for this one, that's great. I have the ability to savor life now, not just in the future. You can live on a really, really tiny budget and save all for tomorrow that we hope is going to be there, right? So a lot of people have a tough time spending today. And that's on the other side of the spectrum there. And that's something, again, I think that's a relationship with money thing, but we can, I have a problem with that. I get so excited hitting goals and putting monies in accounts. And one of the things that I've always had to work through personally is, how do you buy yourself nice stuff? Because I can't do it. It's a struggle for me. I'd much rather help and do, and then with other people, that's what makes me happy. Some people have the complete opposite, and that's great. You know, I see a lot of I watch my 7-year-old unwrap a toy unlimited amount of times, and extreme joy in there, all that kind of stuff. So So keep that for yourself. That's going to be your own score. And if you want to roll the next one, we can kind of talk a little about. So that's the first, I kind of knowing where you are. Second one, review your personal finances, cash flow, money in, money out. It's a good month. It's a bad month. Even if you had to just look at your bank statement, I started with this, I ended with this. That's a great one right there. There's your cash flow every single month. Your beginning bank balance and ending bank balance. Was I negative this month? Was I positive? And why? You know, if it's death by 1,000 paper cuts because there's bills and all this other kind of stuff going out. Okay, maybe we need to make sure. Oh, it's a car repair. All right, that's a one-time thing. Oh, it's the annual insurance, like different things like that. But really watching that cash flow month to month is hugely important. And then your net worth. Your net worth at any one time doesn't mean a whole lot to you. I call it our financial thermometer. How are we doing over time? If I watch it over 5 years and it's not moving, we're not really saving or kicking in the places that we need to be. One of the things we want to do is over time, just see that thing creep up. If you buy a bigger house and you take out a bigger mortgage and it's the same increase, there's no increase in net worth there, right? If you take out 100,000 and borrow an extra, it's the liabilities against each other. What you want to see yourself is paying stuff down, saving, and really building that over time. Okay, this worksheet is on the website. We're not going to roll through this. This is, if you want to go deep dive with your own personal, I think this is great. This will give you, this is where we start with most of our clients. What am I paying? What am I spending? I believe we gave an editable version on there so you can save it for yourself. Calculate your net worth. Set a calendar reminder. Do it in a year from now. You know, I know everybody's doing that right now, but this kind of stuff where you take control of your finances, I will tell you, even just sitting down doing this, you'll improve the way you spend money. Okay, and the big goal's on track. The biggest thing the biggest things that's the most important in your life, the things that and just keeping an eye on. One of the things we always want to take a look at it, say is, hey, what, that big thing that you think is the biggest part of what you're saving for or growing towards. If you're not tracking how you're going to get there, everybody, I'm going to retire at 65. I'm going to do nothing about it until I turn 62. I was like, no, you can't do that. It's going to be a very different, there's a picture in your head. And if you're not working to get to that picture, track your progress in your 20s, track your progress in your 30s. Okay. $1 doubles every 8 years. If you average 9%, if you have a whole bunch of doubling periods in your 20s and 30s, you don't have so many in your 50s. If you're trying to go to 65. Okay. So one of the things, save early, save often, even if it's $5, $10, $100, whatever that number is, just to keep those big goals a priority. Okay. Money is for life. Life isn't for money. Okay. A lot of people, this is the softer side of this. You are your choices. My mother always, number one saying in her whole life is about choices. The choices you make are the life you live. So you're driven by your choices. Organize your finances. There's all kinds of guides out there. Look at the big goals. Look at it now. Look at it in the future. Wherever you are right now, you're there. Don't worry about what happened before. You can start absolutely moving forward and doing anything you want today. Don't worry. Oh, I did that. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We can fix anything. You can fix anything. It's the going forward. How am I going to go forward? All right. And this is our balance page. You have to, live for today, live for tomorrow. And I think that's it. So I have talked for at least 30 minutes here. I'm happy to take, again, like I said, finances are very personal. I have $27 in my, let's not, but one of the things I'd always love to open it up for questions. We talk about everything from cash flow pieces to charitable giving and all these other different kind of things. People want to do the same. Honestly, everybody has the same type of goals. Most people want to retire. Most want to send their kids to college, help people out where they can. But it's all very personal to you and what's the best way to do it. So I would love to take any questions. I would love, if you want to do it online or offline, whatever works best for you.
I'll watch the chat for you, but I'll start it off with a question live here since I unmuted
Okay.
myself. So there's that commercial on TV where it has the blue lines and people are walking and it says, we're going to stop the blue line when you run out of retirement. And people are very shocked by how short that blue line is. And it gives me anxiety, complete anxiety watching this.
Yeah.
So what do you say about people who don't want to save in their 20s, or that commercial does give them anxiety? How's a good way just to start a little bit to start to plan for the future if you really do have to pay your bills every month?
Yeah, one of the big ones looking at, we talk about free money all the time. There's a lot of free money out there that people leave on the table. So for example, well, I don't save into my 401k or my 403b. Well, there's a match. So whatever you do, if you put 2% of your salary, whatever the match is, 3%, whatever small number it is in there, it's doubled right away. I can't beat that. Like I'm not care what kind of Bitcoin, what kind of crazy investment you got. Doubling it right away is not much that can be that. Even if you can start with just that little piece, start small, starts in the free monies. One of the things is also kind of know your expenses. So one of the things, Social Security is a big part of retirement for a lot of people. Most people, it's their only single income source in retirement, about 40% of the country. One of the things, how much of that am I going to rely on? They keep making little tweaks to kind of keep the system solvent. They moved everybody's people's retirement age went from 65 all of a sudden, now it's 67 if you were born after 1960. Okay. And the reason they did that is you get 8% a year for waiting, and you also get an 8% penalty. So they made the penalty a little bit steeper, but they also made the growth thing on the backside a little bit smaller. But one of the things is, say, if that's going to be a big part of my retirement, if I delay and I work a couple extra years, maybe I don't have to save as much, but I'll have this extra large piece of income. If you wait from 65 to 70, it grows by 40%. So say, hey, that's a big piece. I'll just plan on working longer. Now let's do the flip side on that. Not everybody, less than half of people actually voluntarily retire from work, which is another one. So this is one of the things you got to do it both ways. Not everybody gets to walk out when they want to walk out. Some people get sick, people get laid off, spouses need something, they move and they say, we're something I could just get another job when I move over here, all different reasons. So the idea of this will definitely happen down the road. It's a good help, but one of the things you really want to plan for is there's emergencies, there's things that change in life. But I would tell you that anything you can do to start, even though if it's not $1,000 a month, start somewhere, start 50, start 100, anything you do right now will have a snowball effect down the road.
We have a question in our chat here. It says, how do you know when you're at the point where you need to get assistance with your financial planning?
Sure. When you have more questions than answers, I think is the best, is probably the best one. If anything, when you open up statements and you hope you did well, you need help. If you know why something happened or why you were up or why you were down, and it doesn't have to be super high level. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to have $10 million to go get an advisor. There's a lot of the starter banks do a lot of this type of stuff. Some of them are moving products, some of them are actually planners. You got to kind of feel that type of stuff out. But if you have more questions than answers when it comes to, then I would definitely look. I would tell you, I have a lot of friends who spend unending amount of time doing it themselves. They enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, that's another one. If you don't enjoy this stuff, don't do it yourself. Someday, I could figure out how to fix the computer in my car. Okay, there's no way. They were smart enough in my car to put a plastic piece over the top so I won't even touch it, kind of thing. So that's the type of thing. Once you feel like you have, you're out of your depth, and as you get later and later on in life, those numbers get larger and larger, and mistakes cost more. If you have $5,000 and you go down 10%, down $500. If you have $500,000, you go down 10%, you're down 50 grand. And you're like, oh, it's the same percentages and it's the same thing that happened in the market, but could I have avoided that, or could I have,
We have another one here. If you play, what role do you assign to stocks in your financial planning?
They're a great growth vehicle. Nothing quite performs like the stock market does. Averages between 9.1 and 9.3 on a 10, 20, 50-year track back. It's actually pretty consistent. The idea is if you don't need the money tomorrow, because the idea is if you need the money tomorrow, listen, we've seen all kinds of stuff where the market goes down for reasons that aren't the stocks, right? My senior year of college, I graduated in 02. I was there September 11th of 01. Okay. Stock market, there was nothing wrong different about the economy, but the stock market was down 30%, hit to death. I was teaching for Centenary in China, and they decided to let Lehman Brothers fail on a Sunday night. So I taught all day Monday in China and called all of my clients all night long and didn't get to sleep, and I had to teach the next day. But that kind of stuff, that was nothing happened to Johnson & Johnson because of Lehman Brothers, but it was a confidence issue and the market fell. Now listen, it fixed itself 3, 5, 7 years later, but you have to have that time frame. It's all about time frame. Stocks are fantastic if you can ride the wave a little bit, and again, people get excited because we're doing great, right? Off the bottom of the pandemic, we're up 97% from the bottom of the pandemic. But did you personally have a whole bunch of cash sitting there waiting to pick the bottom and then get, or were you riding the wave and getting nervous and pulling out? So I will tell you, I unfortunately, I get a lot of clients who are like, so I jumped out at the bottom of the tech bubble. I've never been back in. I jumped out at the bottom of the mortgage bubble and I never got back in, and they didn't ride it back up. So make sure you can stomach what you're in. Make sure you can, listen, you can be a 20-year-old and save for retirement in CDs. You're going to have to save a heck of a lot more money. But if you can't see the volatility and you can't see the shake, you can't be in it, because what happens is you can't jump out of the pool at the bottom. That's like the worst part of it. So
I married a day trader and it gives me a heart attack. Anyway, do you see the market as too high to invest in today?
I wouldn't. What we've been doing with most of our clients today who have cash to put in, we're dripping it in over the next 3-4 months, kind of parse it in. Inevitably, whenever a client comes in, is like, I have $200,000 in cash. It's been accruing for years and this and that. And you go in and I put it in, the stock market's down 2.5% that day. They're down 10 grand. And they're like, yeah, I thought you were good at this. I was like, I know, but oil went up $7 or this went down, or, there's day-to-day reactions up and down in the market. The stocks move for an unending amount of things. There was a false news report that President Obama had been killed, and the stock market crashed 2.5% in 4 minutes. And then they realized it wasn't true, shot right back up. But what happened is that there's so many computer trading simulations and all this kind of stuff. Everybody wants to be the first person out and everybody wants to be the first person back in. So there's so much money dialed up on automatic trading and things like that, that as soon as that stuff starts to slide, it just gets really bad, and everybody wants to be the first one out of the pool.
What role do mutual funds play in a financial plan, and what should a person look for from a wide variety of funds?
Mutual funds are good. They're a vehicle. You're passing off the management to someone to say, hey, I'm in a sector or a piece of the market where I'm going to manage the entire portfolio with a idea for growth. It's kind of an outsourcing. There are internal costs and things like that inside the mutual fund, which is one of the big ones. There are some really expensive ones out there, some really, really thin ones that you can do really well with that have less expenses, things like that. One of the things a lot of people look at it, one of the biggest blurbs we have is past results are not the predictor of future, right? Just because I did really good last year, last 12 months of stocks, I promise you we won't be back up against 65% year over year. It's just not because we weren't at the bottom of the pandemic or we weren't recurring. People pick them based on that. And as long as you understand the concept of allocating your assets to the right risk and they're a great solution for you. There are a lot of the retirement plans actually from the Pension Protection Act in 2011. They started, you have to offer target date funds. So it says, how old am I going to be when I'm 65? Okay, well, it's the 2045 fund. Okay, great. I always tell people those are like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. Like if you don't know anything about anything, they're going to give you guidance. They're going to absolutely make sure as you get closer and closer to retirement, you're going to have less and less equity. So if something happens, it's not going to, it'll affect your retirement, but it won't be, you're not 100% in stocks or you're not 0% in cash when you're in your 20s, things like that. So yeah, there are 3,700 mutual funds and share classes and all this kind of stuff. There's more than you can shake a stick at. There's great ones, there's bad ones, there's, but it's definitely it's definitely gotta, you gotta do your work.
Well, if anybody's thinking of their last question, I have something. So my mom always told me, if you can make one extra mortgage payment a year towards the principal, you pay your principal off, that you'll end up paying off your house in half the amount of time you do. Or she says, the other thing she says is pay yourself first. Put some money in your bank account and pay yourself first before you pay your bills. What do you think about those two plan ideas?
Your mom grew up with much higher mortgage rates than you do. My rule of thumb right now is get a 30-year and don't pay a dime over the minimum. Because if you can't find an investment that's better than 2.7 after tax deduction, that's the thing. Like some of my clients you're seeing are after their 15-year mortgage at 2%, and then you deduct what they get off the. I was like, well, you have to find something after tax that's 1.5%. My first mortgage was 7.25. Absolutely, crush that mortgage payment, knock it down, all that kind of stuff. But different world, like I said, everybody's got their own. Now, if the idea is to knock it down and have it paid off by retirement, that could be an option. But really, it's tough. It's tough to say pay down your mortgage in the 2.5%, 3% world right now. And pay yourself first is absolutely. The oldest adage, just cut out Starbucks and apparently you'll be worth $1 billion. Like, it's not, first of all, I've seen great advertisements for young financial planners saying this old guy in his building is going to tell you to stop drinking Starbucks and he doesn't know you. And I'm like, it's true. It's people, people pay for experiences now way more than they used to, I would tell you the best thing you can do is make sure you're rewarding yourself a little bit now, and putting money aside for you personally in emergencies and things like that, taking stress out of your day, and also making the rest of everything you're doing a little bit better. If your car is stressing out and it's dying and get a new car. Like, I get it's going to stress you, but the financial stress will be nowhere near the, oh my God, I hope I make it home tonight. Right. Because that's real. I mean, that's the kind of things that's the stuff you take out of your life. There's not money that you could pay for that type of thing. I have some clients who come in and are ready to retire and can retire 6 times over. And I hate to say it, but they don't need me. They really don't. Like, I could be terrible at my job and they'd retire just fine. Millions of dollars, don't spend any money, all this kind of stuff. But you know what they're looking for? They want somebody else looking at it, and they want that peace of mind that says, hey, you're gonna be okay. Okay. I can't tell you, some of my favorite clients have we've given them the green light to retire, and they said nobody at my work's ever retired. I never thought I'd be able to retire. I never thought I'd be able to stop. And someone just kind of giving you and showing you why. Where are we going to get money from? We draw it out. So we do an income map. You're going to get money from Social Security and your pension and your investments, blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And listen, if the stock market goes up and down, that's 7-year money. We don't need to touch it. We're not going to, that's your tomorrow money's here. You don't pay your bills with your brokerage account, that's okay. And then, basically look at how do we make sure everything that you think that's important to you is checked off. And then if there's any money left over when you're not here, where's it going and who's it going to help? That's the biggest, estate planning and things. There used to be all about taxes. Well, they lifted the estate tax minimum to $11 million. Chris Christie on the last day raised our gas taxes and all this kind of fun stuff. But in that deal, they eliminated the New Jersey estate tax. You don't pay inheritance tax if it goes to your children. So all that stuff's all out the window. So it's not about tax anymore. It's about control. Where do I want my money going? Who do I want it going to? And who's it going to help? And how am I going to make sure that the people I give it to are protected? That's really the number one thing about estate planning these days. Is the tax thing is there for some people, Am I getting a good night? My son is on the line here saying good night.
You can say it.
Bye-bye, Dad.
Bye, buddy. I love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How sweet. So
That's my
I'm
favorite.
if there's any questions and you want to get in touch with Chris, you can always reach out to the alumni office and get in touch with them. And I'm going to turn it over now back to Caitlin and Yolanda to finish our program and to turn it over to Dr. Murphy. So Chris, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. This was an awesome presentation. The strategies, worksheet, assessment, everyone, can use these tools. I know I'll definitely be doing this on this weekend because I understand we're supposed to have a rainy weekend. So this will be a good excuse for me to start buckling down. But we really do appreciate your time tonight, giving this presentation, to our alums. I just have a couple of announcements here. As you know, the Centenary Stays Connected virtual series is on a monthly basis, and just wanted to let you know next month, Thursday, November 18th at 6:30, we are going to have all you wanted to know about equine at Centenary. It's going to be presented by Kelly Munes, the Equine Department Chair, and Karen Brittle, the Director of the Therapeutic Riding at Centenary. So definitely looking forward to learning more about the equine program, because that's just one of the things that I'm not as familiar with. Also, as you had heard Dr. Murphy share before, the Centenary now offers the Certified Financial Planning course online and in person. And if anyone on this call would like to learn more information, you could please contact Elizabeth Freeman and get more information about that. Does anyone else have any other questions, comments? If anyone is interested in learning more about the Alumni Association, you could give the advancement office a call and they will get back in touch with one of us to share information. We're always looking for new members, new ideas. So we welcome everyone. So once again, Chris, thank you for taking the time tonight. Truly
It was a
appreciate
good, I had about
Thank you.
8 to 10 years on the alumni board. So
We're going to go back to Dr. Murphy. Dr. Murphy has a few things to say to close the night.
Yeah, just again, I'd like to thank, Linda, good to see you there. Speaking of equine and therapeutic riding, but Chris, that was an excellent presentation. I thought we were going to talk about money tonight, and really you were talking about happiness, and it's really something. And I learned a lot, and as I said, I thought it was an excellent presentation. One of the honors that I get, or one of the neat things that I get to do as president, is I get to recognize and reward excellence. And so the way I do that is with my presidential coin. When I see excellence, there's no requirements for this. You can't get it in the bookstore or on the internet or anywhere else. The only way is for me to see excellence, and that's what I saw tonight. And so I'm going to be sending you this coin. On the front side, it has our great seal of the university, and on the other side, it says "Presented by the President for Excellence." And so I'm going to send that along to you, and remember that. Remember this night. We appreciate you very much tonight.
I'll make you a deal. I'm going to be up on campus in about 2 weeks. Maybe I'll come pick it up.
Okay, that'll work. Because we'll save the postage, and Karen will be happy.
There you go. There you go. We'll figure that out.
Again, if you talk about state plans, you can always talk about how Centenary University could be part of your state plan. So call Chris.
Right. That's right.
I think I see one more question that popped up. How often does refinancing is refinancing a mortgage reasonable?
Oh, that's a good one. It's all about, does it make sense? So some people need to refinance to change their cash flow. They need to mortgage down from 15 to a 30, or they need to refi to lower the payment because they're struggling for day to day. To pay $6,000 to save $50 a month doesn't make sense. It's all about how often, what's the break even, how long you're going to be in that house. And everybody says, "Oh, I'm gonna be here forever." That's great. Most people, even with the rates and everything that has changed over all the years, the mortgage rate, the 30-year mortgage rate still averages people hold them about 7 years, because people move, people do all kinds of other things. You don't have plans to do X, Y, and Z, but you need to change this in your life, or you need to, so you do it via mortgage. So the mortgage keeps moving around. And I've seen some situations where the people who make the most money are the mortgage companies and not you. So one of the things is make sure it makes sense. You know, look at the costs, always look at the costs. That's the biggest part of it. There's, we work with a great little spot up in Chester, New Jersey, right here. They bare bones. And then I've seen some of these Rockets and Quickens and blah, 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 where also, you know, you're thousands and thousands of dollars, and it's not good for you. You save $50 a month, but you know, in the long run, you actually pay more in the mortgage. So it's all about the cost there. And if it really makes sense for you, I would say if you're doing it now, this will probably be one of the last times you do it. We did it this last summer at a number that I didn't think even was possible, even from what I was saying. And I said, well, I'm going to run this 30-year guy out. You know, I'm going to be 71 years old and pay this off, and that's okay. You know, type of thing. So.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, I think this concludes our evening tonight. And once again, thank you everyone for participating. And we look forward to seeing you at our future presentations. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night,
Thank
everyone.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Right.